been 18 years since I've been in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City. I started the trip in Hanoi, where I've never been before, after a lovely weekend in Hong Kong after the super typhoon. So I was lucky to miss that. Welcome to Creative Wandering, the home of videos for dailycreatives.com, where I'm trying to answer the question, how to design a lifestyle you don't need a vacation from. We covered 4 continents, 19 countries, and 35 cities. Now we are happy to be back home in Canada. Check out dailycreatives.com. 2 times per week I will update the blog with interesting perspectives, cooking, projects, designing a life I don't need a vacation from. It's been a long time since I was in Vietnam. Last year we were very close in Cambodia, but we didn't make it over. The last time I was in that part of Southeast Asia, I was a lot younger, very inexperienced with international travel, and I carried a lot of ideas about how I thought the world was or should be, and didn't have a lot of time and patience for what it really was. I feel like at that time, years ago, Vietnam was still in a lot of pain from what had happened in the war. Don't miss the series on Netflix, which features interviews with 79 witnesses, including many Americans who fought in the war or opposed it, as well as Vietnamese combatants and civilians from both the North and the South. The director deliberately avoided historians or other expert talking heads. Instead, interviews were intended to provide a ground-up view of the war from the perspective of everyday people who lived through it. Today, everything has changed in Vietnam. It's opened up to the US, so there is tons of both industry and visitors making their way into the region. I had never been to Hanoi before, and it turned out to be a beautiful place to spend time, both in terms of, I think, what tourists find there, and for sure, it was a lovely jumping off spot for the business that I was there to do. Oddly enough, when I was about 2 hours outside of Hanoi at a little factory, getting onto a bus one night, heading out to the accommodations and dinner, a friend of mine was actually in the van going to the same location. He works for a competitor brand and lives in the US and was there on business. It is such a small world. This city, Saigon, has changed so much. Population estimates in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City are officially around 8.5 million, but with the unregistered residents, evidently it runs as high as 13 million. Evidently over 7 million bikes and scooters here, so it makes for crazy, crazy traffic. The city has gotten a lot more affluent than it was when I was here so long ago. There's hotels, nice restaurants, and all the things that I don't remember from the last time I was here, although it could be that I was on a different budget than I am now. Ho Chi Minh feels a lot like what Bangkok used to feel like, where there's lots and lots of people, lots of traffic, lots of things going on. Public infrastructure has not caught up. Whereas Bangkok today, nice train system, and it's much easier to get around. And Hong Kong is like a breeze. The MTR goes everywhere. I think what's shocking still when you drive out to the factory around Ho Chi Minh City is just how many people are living so close to the poverty line, just on obviously not very much money per day. I was really lucky to get to spend a good amount of time here. I think there's lots of other wonderful parts of the country left to see. And I know that my husband is anxious to come back and tour with me. We want to go down to Da Nang and enjoy the beaches. If you've ever had a chance to tour in Southeast Asia and you weren't sure whether you wanted to go to Vietnam, you absolutely should. It is totally worth the stop. Super close, daily flights out of Thailand. As for North Americans going into Vietnam, it's quite easy. The visa process is very straightforward. It's visa on arrival, but you secure most of the documentation ahead of time, and then you process at the airport really quickly. Oi, 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 this is the worst time of day ever. It's, I don't know, 4 o'clock. basically, this is the second time I've lived Thursday. It's 4, not even 4, and it was 4:40 today when I boarded my flight in Japan. I had 2 lunches, 2 breakfasts, and now I'm home and I've had a shower and I've had a short nap, which felt so good, but obviously didn't want to get up from. And oh my goodness, I really should stay awake for quite a bit more time, but I'm not feeling it. I'm so tired. Oh, this is the worst part of coming back. It was really bumpy on the way into Vancouver from Narita, and they just like for the last 2.5 hours, I had the seatbelt sign on the whole time. And when they served breakfast, they wouldn't serve any coffee. So I really needed it. We had a coffee when I finally got through immigration, which was like ridiculously long lineup. I've never come into Vancouver at that time of the morning, so I didn't realize that there's 9 or 10 big flights that come into that terminal that just really backlog customs or immigration. Anyways, finally got through, got a coffee, started to feel a little bit better. But it's been a beautiful sunny day and got my second lunch and a walk on the pier, which is great. But yeah, it's just really fighting how tired I feel. It's hard to pull an all-nighter at the best of times, and to do it in 2 different or 2 weeks apart makes it even trickier. So here I am, gonna battle it out for if I can manage 4 more hours, that would be great. We'll see. I don't know. It's so tough. I'm not sure why I'm combining my thoughts about my trip in Vietnam with today, which is Remembrance Day. I'm kind of glad that Canada didn't answer the call to go into Vietnam. Not sure how I would feel today if our country had been embroiled in that conflict. So it's with a huge amount of gratitude that I think about Remembrance Day and what has happened in the past and how it informs our future. Remembrance Day was always a somber day in school. It was a time to reflect and think about what our fellow Canadians have sacrificed in the past. Last year I kept a journal. This is just one. I started on November 9th, 2017. And when I look at the entry for November 11th, I'm thinking about Remembrance Day, and I had a friend from Sweden who was visiting in Canada years ago, and she asked, why has everyone got red flowers on their jackets? It was kind of an interesting question because we've always known what that meant from the days that we spent in school with all the Remembrance Day celebrations. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago we lived, felt down, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. It's been a long time since I was in school for a proper celebration, where I think they did a really good job of explaining why this was important. A lot of the companies that I've worked at, when Remembrance Day falls midweek, some companies were allowed to use that day as a flex day. So we had to get the stat holiday, but we could take it at a later time. So some people would tack it on to Christmas vacation. And so then on the actual day, we would be at work. And most of the time, we would do the minute of silence at 11 a.m. But it's somewhat not quite as grand of a celebration as I felt it was in school, and which I think it probably should be. So please take the time today at 11 to spend a minute and remember, just like we did in school. I think something else that goes along with remembering is, and certainly on this day, would be gratitude. So much of our civil liberties and the way the culture operates today in Canada is a direct result of everything that's happened to get us to this point. And we would be remiss if we don't remember everyone who who helped contribute to that. There are many things I'm grateful for. In fact, one of the things that I've done since I've been home from my travels is instead of journaling in the morning and helping set myself up for the day, I'm journaling at night. At least I'm trying to. In that, I'm keeping a gratitude journal. So at night, I think about all the things I'm grateful for in the day, and that sets my sleep up and ultimately, hopefully, how I feel the next day. There are so many things I'm grateful for. It's a list that is really never ending if I really think about it hard. But today was just one of those amazing, crisp fall days where I feel like it was perfect from the beginning. On days like this, when it's sunny, I like to get up early, do something creative, usually writing first thing in the morning, with my coffee by my side, and then when I get a little peckish, I make a green smoothie and I head for the hot tub with whatever novel I'm reading at the time. And so today was no exception. It can be done on a cloudy day as well. It's a little tough in the rain because I don't have enough cover to read my book without it getting wet. I'll have to find a solve for that. But nonetheless, the sun definitely lifts my spirits, even when it's the cool of the Canadian fall. Colder weather is coming, and it'll get to the point where when I'm reading my book, my fingers will be cold. But I can just dip them in the hot tub, warm them up, go back to reading. These are great days, which I really treasure. By commuting to work each day in the week, the weekends become a source of refuge that is precious to me. And I'm not sure I was ever as grateful for them as I am now. I used to wish that I could have weekend days every day, but something gets lost in the magic of a weekend when you don't have the week to compare it to. That's just one small excerpt from my gratitude list. Thanks for watching. For more daily creative information and inspiration, head over to dailycreatives.com. See you over there.